Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash, Season 4. Now, The Flash is actually back in just under a week from now, so this video will be going up the day after, like, the 1 week countdown, if you want to call it, from The Flash being back, which is exciting. And obviously we will be back with episode 17, which is directed by Kevin Smith and is otherwise known as Null and Annoyed. Now, the end of this season of DC TV, or CW DC TV, or the Arrowverse, if I want to be precise, might I say, is fast approaching us. Like, it's almost over. Legends of Tomorrow has its finale, throughout this week. Legends has been very strong this season. I think it's been the best show. Just personally, you can disagree with you if you want. And then we have The Flash and Arrow heading into their last month and a half roughly of coverage, which obviously is sad. You're like, oh no, the shows are going away, but you're also hyped at the exact same time because you're like, yes, we're going to see all of this come together and end, and then get some cliffhangers leading into the new seasons. So it's sad, but extremely exciting at the exact same time. Obviously, we do have Supergirl coming back just after Legends ends, so that's going to be going on until the middle of June, which is just weird even thinking about that. And then we'll have Comic-Con in July, where we'll get more stuff, and they'll start filming the new seasons around that time. So only a bit of a short break before we start talking about the new seasons and stuff like that. So, I think we can hang on until then. But speaking of the new seasons, I basically hinted at then, all the shows did get renewed. So Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, Legends, and Black Lightning all got their new seasons renewed. So that's awesome. So no show got cancelled, which is good to see. But speaking of things in the future, the synopsis for episode 18 of this season was released. This episode is otherwise known as Lose Yourself. So yes, bring on the Eminem references, Mum Spaghetti, other things from that song. Can't remember lyrics off the top of my head. I'm having a brain fart. But obviously, before we get into the actual synopsis and break it down and stuff, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts on what we go over in this video and what you think of this episode and what you're looking forward to the most. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. When Barry and Team Flash find a way to enter the Thinker's Lair, Ralph considers crossing a dangerous line to defeat Devoe. Meanwhile, Joe is concerned by Harry's recent behavior. So the first part of the synopsis to go over is when Barry and Team Flash find a way to enter the Thinker's Lair. So obviously in this part of the episode, Barry isn't just going to, casually find the lair and just walk in. There's going to have to be more, detective work, if you want to call it, maybe some CSI work to find out where this lair is. And that is essentially where the Folded Man, aka Edwin Gauss, will make himself useful. So he is the last bust metahuman that we have not discovered yet. So Null, we're going to be meeting in episode 17, is the second last one. And then we have Edwin Gauss, known as the Folded Man, who was the last bust metahuman. I think they've planned it pretty well that he has a certain ability that will help Team Flash encounter Devoe at least. So the Folded Man's abilities in the comics at least is that he can access other dimensions. So we're in the third dimension. We are 3D. He can access the fourth dimension and the second dimension. So if he accesses the second dimension, he can make himself flat from the side on. So he can hide himself essentially. The way that it sounds like the show's going to do it is that he can literally access other dimensions, not just 4D and 2D shapes and stuff, but he can access alternate dimensions. That's what it sounds like they're doing here with the character. They're changing his powers up a bit because those powers that he has, from the comics, they fit the comics. But in a TV show, they have to change it up a bit, and I think they're changing it up in a suitable way by the sounds of what they're going for. So as we do know from, I think it was last episode, I think it was the beginning of last episode, or was the beginning of the episode before. Anyway, we know that the Thinker's Lair looks to be in another dimension. That's the theory going around, and that's most likely the case because, Devoe's just basically appearing in and out, almost like Savitar when he was trapped in the Speed Force. So obviously Team Flash is going to be going after the Folded Man and going hey dude, can we sort of use your powers, or can you just help us a bit, because there's this homicidal maniac who keeps swapping bodies, and it's not that good. Now, there was a scene filmed for this episode. We know there was one scene, this is a confirmed scene for the episode, with Caitlin, Cisco, and Barry, so original Team Flash, if you want to call them, going into the woods, where they are most likely going to meet with or locate Edwin Gauss and use his abilities. So it is unclear whether they know that Edwin Gauss is there, or he knows about them and brings them in, or whether maybe Edwin uses his abilities and Cisco is manages to detect it on some sort of radar or something, and they know to go to the woods, and that's where they will find him. It'll be interesting to find it out, but that's one scene that we know will be in this episode, a scene in the woods and something like that. Next up in the synopsis is Ralph considers crossing a dangerous line to defeat Devoe. So what the hell is going to go down here? What is Ralph considering doing in regards to possibly defeating Devoe? Now, I guess the obvious one is that he might try to impersonate someone. He might try to impersonate Marley's Devoe just to get close to Devoe or get some information. Now, it doesn't really matter like what he's going to do. It just matters like what's going to happen after he attempts to do this. So will Ralph possibly get killed or taken over by Devoe in this situation? Because he is a bus metahuman, so surely he would be on Devoe's radar and Devoe would possibly want to, take his abilities or possibly just use his body as host. So you'd have to think we could see Ralph getting like killed or taken over by Devoe, but then again, getting taken over by Devoe is basically the same thing as dying from what we have seen so far this season. But anyway, now there was a reason to believe that, Ralph could possibly be dying and just flat out dying in this episode, or at least the next 2 episodes. And that is because the actor who plays Ralph, who is Hartley Sawyer, hasn't been on set from what I've been able to tell, just from set photos and just Instagram and general things like that. From what I've been able to tell, and if you do follow him on Instagram mainly, you would be able to see, that he has been like Argentina and all these different places, while the other actors have been filming, like Candice Patton and stuff, and Danielle Panabaker have been posting stuff on social media saying that they've been filming the show, but he's been like out and about in other countries. So due to this, you would have to think he's not on the show anymore just going by this, but it is hard to be like 110% sure that he has been absent from set, because the show has had sporadic filming schedules due to not only Easter but some other breaks, because when we went on break and stuff for a couple of weeks, the actors did as well. They go on like a couple of breaks just so they're not worn out. So they have a break before heading into the last handful of episodes just so they're nice and refreshed. So he could have taken advantage, and maybe he's just posting old photos from when he was overseas. It's, as I said, it's hard to be 100% sure, but if he does die in the next couple of episodes, don't be surprised, because there's been evidence on social media. Now, Ralph dying has actually been one of the most predicted things by fans of the show. However, Ralph dying might not be what happens. Devoe might actually be able to take over Ralph, but he might not die. What could happen is that the team might be able to figure out a way to keep people alive even after they've been affected by Devoe and what he is doing. Now, I guess the people that have already been affected, so, like Hazard and all those different people, they're probably dead unless Team Flash has managed to get their bodies or something like that and keep them in some sort of stasis. They're probably screwed, but everyone else afterwards might be okay. So Izzy, aka the Fiddler, might be okay once her body gets discarded by Devoe and he goes to a new host. She might be okay. They might be able to do something with her, and maybe even Null if she does get affected by Devoe. But mainly Ralph, if he does get affected, and maybe, Devoe doesn't necessarily use his body as a host, he might just use his, take his powers. They could put Ralph's body in a stasis of sorts, and then once they defeat Devoe, they might be able to break down his brain and all the different consciousnesses of all the bus metahumans and give him his, consciousness back and keep him alive. I don't know, I just don't like it when shows, introduce characters in a season and just make them expendable and kill them off later. It's one of the gripes I had with H.R. Wells, so hopefully they avoid that and actually do something interesting with the character and something different. And to finish off the synopsis we have, meanwhile, Joe is concerned by Harry's recent behaviour. So as we saw last episode, Harry developed his recreation, if you want to call it, of Devoe's thinking cap and used it to find out the names of the last 2 remaining bus metahumans in the form of, as we said earlier, Null and Folded Man. Now, I guess the big issue with this is that we've seen the decline of Devoe and what's happened to him. So is Harry going down the same path that Devoe did after using the thinking cap? Will Harry go crazy like Devoe? Or will he start deteriorating like Devoe was, which caused him to start bunny hopping, if you want to call it, from body to body? So will Harry's mind start absorbing more energy from his body like Devoe, or will something else happen? I think it would be interesting if Harry was going a bit more crazier, because Harry is a guy that's always on edge. So it would be interesting to see if the thinking cap just drove him more and more crazy, rather than what happened to Devoe where his body was deteriorating. It would be interesting if they went with the other angle with Harry. Now, one thing I do need to clarify before I end the video. This is the last thing I want to talk about before ending the video. I uploaded a video on April Fool's Day, which was about Savitar, Reverse Flash, and Zoom returning. Just to make sure everyone knows, that was an April Fool's sort of video. It's YouTube, April Fool's, never believe anything then. I just thought I'd take part in it. I thought it was pretty clear with what I went over in the video that it was just too good to be true. And it was a bit silly at the same time, so I was hoping that people might have known that it was an April Fool's joke. But some people do seem to still be believing it, so I do want to clarify now. That is a fake. It's just an April Fool's sort of video. None of that is real. Actually, I think the episode title is actually called Think Fast, but that's the only thing that's sort of real about that video. The actual episode title, episode 22, is apparently called Think Fast, but that's about it. None of it is actually true. It was all made up for an April Fool's joke. Sorry if anyone is offended by that and was really hoping that it was true, but I just thought I'd have a bit of fun there. And yeah, so sorry about that, I guess. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what I went over in this video. What are you looking forward to most in this episode? Just let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.